Hey everybody, Paul Dame, chairman of the Vermont Republican Party here. I just wanted to give you folks an update. I'm here getting ready to head into the post office. As you remember, when Vice President Vance came to Vermont a little over a week ago, we sent out a welcome card and asked Vermonters from around the state to sign it. And we got over 500 signatures on that online petition. So we're printing those out, sending them over to the vice president. And, as I was printing this out, a number of people, hundreds of people, wrote a little comment to encourage the vice president. And as I started to read those, it really gave me a sense of hope and pride in my fellow Vermonters. Despite some political agreements some of us may have, there's still plenty of Vermonters who know how to be friendly and welcoming to people who are visiting our state. And, let me just read a couple to you. So Alan from Franklin wrote, "Thank you for caring about us. You're doing a fantastic job." Heather from Sheldon said, "Thank you for choosing Vermont for your vacation. It makes us conservatives feel proud, and we hope you come back this summer." Right? They could go anywhere. They picked Vermont. Barbara from Springfield wrote, "Hope you and your family enjoyed the beauty of our state in Vermont. You are always welcome." And Rosemary from Charlotte said, "I hope you enjoy your Vermont vacation. You picked a perfect winter to experience the beauty of Vermont." That's the thing I love, is that so many people are talking about how beautiful Vermont is, and why wouldn't a family want to come here and enjoy it. Tammy from Middlesex wrote, "Enjoy the ski conditions with your family. I hope you post some great photos. Have a great time." And Janine from Craftsbury said, "Thank you for visiting Vermont in winter. Come back for our fall colors." Number of people also kind of brought, so we had some just generic Vermont beauty. A couple of comments were talking about some of the controversy. Maria from Bennington said, "Enjoy your trip. Welcome to Vermont. This state does have Republicans, and more important, hidden conservatives that are Democrats." That we certainly found that to be true in November, the November elections. Francis from Walcott said, "Welcome to Vermont. I must apologize for our senators and representatives. They do not represent my views. It seems the cities in Chittenden County get to tell all the rural people how we are supposed to live." That's something we're dealing with at the State House, too. Rodney from Townshend said, "I wish you a nice respite in Vermont with the fresh air and beautiful mountains. Thank you so much for returning our country to traditional values. God knows that is what Vermont needs. It has been difficult here in Vermont being a conservative Republican these past 4 years." Perry from Killington had a little different approach. He said, "Thanks for visiting Vermont. I wish you came to Killington. We would have accepted you with open arms." So a number of people kind of picking up on some of the protest issues there. Gary from North Ferrisburgh wrote, "We appreciate you and your efforts to bring our country back to common sense views and values. Pay no mind at all to the haters out there in Vermont. You have more support than meets the eye here. Peace be with you." And Scott from Williston said, "I am so sorry for the actions of some people. They are not how Vermonters are. We are a caring people. My best to you and to your family." Cynthia from Waitsfield, where all the action was, said, "Thank you for choosing to have a family vacation in Vermont. I'm sad that your stay in the Mad River Valley was met with hostility. Not all of us Vermonters are so disrespectful. I hope you and your family have a wonderful time." Bob from Rutland apologized for how the vice president was treated. He said, "I'm so embarrassed at the behavior of some Vermont citizens and how local media has sensationalized that behavior. We are not all that shallow. I hope your family was able to make the best of your weekend getaway in Vermont." And one last one. "My family and I, as well as most everyone we know, are both saddened and angered by the disgusting behavior of some protesters when you visited Vermont. Please know they do not represent Vermont. We would be happy if you and your family would return so you can experience the welcoming warmth of Vermonters. We wish the best for you and your family." So as you see, there were Some of these folks signed the petition before all the protests happened. Some did so after some of the news reports came out. And so you can even hear the change in tone about how some people were optimistic when this started and were a little disappointed in their fellow Vermonters after the protest started. And there were about, like I said, there's over 500 people that signed it in a positive way, had a positive mindset. Many wrote some encouraging words. But I do have to admit, there's about a dozen or so people who demonstrated that kind of disgusting behavior that was on display during the vice president's visit. And I think it's only fair to read a couple of those. So if you've got kids around, you may want to fast forward or skip this video. But I think it's important to know what people are facing here in Vermont. One person who was such a coward they didn't even put their name on the signature, they said they're from Burlington, wrote the following: "Eat shit. I hope you hit a tree. Go back to Russia, you traitor." Okay, that's what somebody thought they needed to say. Sarah Connor of Bethel wrote, "F off, you disgusting Nazi shit. Follow your leader and go kill yourself." I can't even believe that there are people like that live in my state that think and write this way about a man coming here with his family. Lots of F words. F off punk from Wilhelm Andrewson from Jericho. F you and the horse you rode in on from Devin Weller and Barry. F you Vance, you bootlicking racist. Lots of colorful creativity there. Okay? And this is probably one of the nastiest ones. Another coward who listed their name and their town as J gave one of what I thought was one of the most troubling comments. They said, "Have you told your wife and kids you hate them for their skin color yet?" I mean, what kind of nasty, monstrous person do you have to be to first think of something like that, believe it, and then decide, you know what I'm going to do with that thought? I'm going to write it out and send it to the Vice President of the United States. I can't think of anybody I know, and I know some pretty contentious people in Vermont. I can't think of anyone I know that would actually say something like that. And yet, here it is. So that was one of only about 5 negative comments that didn't use some kind of vulgarity or curse word. But again, those negative comments were such a tiny fraction of what came in. More than 10 times as many people offering those same kind of warm welcomes that you heard before, invitations to come back. That's the kind of Vermont that I know, that I grew up in, that I want to still be here as my kids grow up. I know that a lot of people like me, living in Vermont, feel like we're all alone. We feel like, all these really negative people are the ones who get all the attention. They exercise all the power. But, after reading through hundreds of comments like this, I really came away encouraged, and I wanted other Republicans to come away encouraged that even though we might not be the majority, there's still a lot of us left who want to do the kind-hearted, good, welcoming work that needs to be done to change Vermont. And we can be proud of how we conduct ourselves, even when we disagree. And so I just want to, encourage my fellow Vermonters, the same thing, and even Republicans who are in other blue states who feel like you're kind of swimming against the tide. There are these radical people out there, and they are going to say some of the nastiest and most negative, violent, hateful things. And what's going to happen is they're going to continue to lose the people in the middle that just want to live their life, that don't want to be disturbed. And all Republicans have to do is just keep moving forward, slow and steady, implementing common sense things that need to happen. In Vermont, the big issues right now are education reform, affordability, housing, and crime. I mean, if we can just continue to focus on working on those things and doing what we need to do while the left is going absolutely crazy. That's the goal. That's the goal. We can make our state a better place to live despite the opposition by just working together. Keep your head down. Keep doing what you know is good and right. And we can turn this thing around.